Hello, everyone, and welcome to Reviewing the Elite, a new weekly review show where we will talk about Dynamite, Rampage. If you want to hear about a pay-per-view, that's going to be a special one. I'm Doc from the Pitbull One podcast. I am joined by cousin Ciseal.
Hey, how you doing? Doing great. How you doing this morning? And how was last night for you as well?
Last night was kind of the shits because my buddy was there live. So he's sending me all this like live footage he recorded, and hopefully he picked me up a t-shirt because the you can only get that I was there shirt at the show, and Pro Wrestling Tees crashed last night anyway, thanks to the falsely advertised best in the world.
I was more curious because you said I saw your what's the word? I saw your picture about your buddy there, and then I was just more wondering, like, did they already have like the CM Punk stuff out on the merch tables before the show?
No, they did. He was sending me pics as the night went. They did like all the shows for Dark and everything like that. So they had like a couple hours of stuff beforehand. And then he was sending me I think I sent you the picture. He sent me like right after Punk came out, said, get the ice cream on me. While he was doing that, that's when they were putting out all the shirts. So he actually missed like the whole rest of the show because he was in line to get a shirt and to get that ice cream, because the ice cream had that wrapper, the CM Punk with the hands like that.
Yeah.
And so he spent like, it was after the show that he got it. I want to say he was like in line for 2 hours. He said it wrapped around the whole building to get that stuff.
That's some dedication.
I guess the shirts, because the difference is the shirt at the show said I was there when CM Punk debuted, where the shirt you would buy was just the plain white shirt. So people are selling the shirts for like $500 on eBay, and they're even selling those ice cream wrappers for like $80 to $100, which is insanity.
It is insanity because also like I don't have a real true CM Punk lineage with him because I behind the veil. Obviously, like I know that he left ROH from last night. He was talking about it at 2005, and then his whole little WWE run, and that was definitely not a time I was into wrestling. I was 05 is I was in going 10th grade, so I was just like, yeah, I'm not so much into wrestling at the moment. But no, I am excited from last night. It was really interesting. It was a really cool moment to see, and then I am more shocked, and I think maybe I get into those ideas of like I like seeing the whole fans. I saw the video of this poor guy crying just seeing CM Punk there. Then he did the jump into the crowd and all that stuff. So no, I'm glad to see. And also it was a good point I said last night or like Rampage, that was CM Punk. No, that was Phil coming to talk to his fans, and it's kind of probably did for idea of like a 5-minute little talk. He did the best he could do for this 7 years of absence, and kind of keeps it on there like that, and also not to be so intertwined with the business of it.
I was just a little pissed because they're saying it's the best in the world, and fucking Punk comes out. Where was Shane McMahon? He won the best in the world at the Saudi Arabia thing. I'm like, oh, the AEW is doing the old bait and switch on me already.
That's a funny moment because at least I was there at that WWE Raw with Shane coming back for this whole past little run. That was another crazy pop too. But I did like when CM Punk was saying best in the world. I took that from Daniel Bryan. And that's another rumored person for AEW.
I like Punk. I liked him in ROH. I liked him in IWA because I'm old. I've seen all that. His WWE run, and this is going to be very unpopular, I didn't think a lot of because, he was the best one in the product, but to me that was it. When everybody says how he was like the greatest talker and the greatest worker, it was like, yeah, but he's working against, and no disrespect to anybody, he's working the Undertaker. He's working Cena. He's working Ryback, for God's sakes. It's like, I want to see when he works Ray Phoenix, when he works Malachi Black, when he works Pac. I want to see if he really is, is good. And and I'm kind of worried that they've got him with Darby because Darby's like my favorite guy over there, and I hope the match goes to a draw because Punk's not doing a job on his first match, and I don't want Darby to do a job either. He's being built up real good. It was like just let him go to a draw or have a. I personally am thinking something may happen in the next few weeks to Christian, and maybe Punk or Bryan takes his place. I don't know, because Punk versus Omega is the match that I want to see.
You definitely hit the nail on the head because of like being understanding like how the game works and all that stuff. Because I said that even last night in my head. I'm like, okay, they did the whole build up because now they had Darby do the whole, even if you're the best in the world, and had the whole video that got us to first dance, and then CM Punk brought us up. Yep, we're gonna wrestle it all out, and then I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, who's gonna lose this? Because they've been doing so well with, like you said, Darby pushing. They have the icon Sting as his sidekick. That's some big shoes to have filled. And Darby Allin probably is one of the reasons why this whole pandemic, or they call it like the Daily's Place era, was doing good, because he was doing really good work for the show during these no fans moments. And I just think it's very crazy I'm like, that whole, are they going to go out to a timeout and just say DQ? Or I don't think either way, even if Darby loses, I don't think it's going to be a bad thing for him. I don't think it's going to affect even this run. Oh, you lost to CM Punk. But also at the same time, that goes into my thing about CM Punk. I don't know CM Punk besides that he as his retaliated thing to the Authority version of him. So, and he's always been really highlighting he wants to work with young talent and push him up. So is he going to take the loss and say this is kind of how the setup is for this, maybe this first time? You know what I'm saying? It's very interesting to see, and it makes people like us definitely buy the pay-per-view, because we want to know like that's parts of the story, because all the other people that don't understand it, we're like, this is obviously a turning point of someone's story. Either CM Punk is going to take the loss, or Darby's going to take the loss. And either way, they both look like are supposed to be being pushed right now. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm just interesting to see. It's like my son doesn't know Punk my son doesn't know Punk. This is his introduction to CM Punk, unless some stuff he watched on the network. But I like Punk. I hope he does good. But the only thing that I worry about is like, show someone a Rey Mysterio that never saw Rey Mysterio. He's a very good example. Never seen Rey Mysterio. Show him an old WCW match that used to tear the house down. Show a person that, and then show him a match with Rey Fenix. And it's like, God, this Rey Mysterio, dude, he's boring, because everything's evolved so much. I'm curious to see if Punk has evolved in these, 10 years, 7, 10, 12. I don't even know how long he's been gone. Is he, can he keep up with this newer generation that does just completely psychotic spots?
I was able to watch the first half of like the little media scrum of last night's thing with CM. It was like the show, or the media thing was just Tony Khan and CM Punk. And the first question was, someone kind of wanted to break down his contract. And long story short, they didn't. Even Tony Khan goes, no, just so you know, he's here. He's not part-time. We'll see about that. But, he's not part-time. He's going to be working, and he's here for a while. So that's good to hear. And then another one was, someone brought up, hey, obviously it's been 7 years, but also how have you been trying to get into ring fitness under the radar? And then CM Punk kind of said it right there. He could be lying, but he goes, honestly, he just been doing a lot of stuff in his basement, like working out. He hasn't been in the ring. He said he hasn't. He's like, no. And he said words that I don't exactly understand, but he goes, I think I have a bump card. He said he was talking to Tony, like joking, like he ain't going to take no bump at the moment, but he's going to work the ropes, if you know what those terms mean. But yes. So and then in my head, I'm thinking that's the one perk. Like Darby is definitely he's probably the best opponent for him because Darby's not a I'm going to pick you up and slam you down stuff. He is really using his body as a weapon. And I think that will be really good for this first run for CM Punk to get his sea legs back.
Because Darby's going to take all the bumps. Darby's a bump machine. What do we've seen him? Man, for Christ's sakes, he did a coffin drop through a coffin after a match. You know, I mean, that kid is gonna. And I'm a big fan. Like I said, Darby's my favorite guy over there. You know, he's got the right person with him. I mean, Sting looks like it'd be his dad. And it's funny, like you said, that Sting's his sidekick. Yeah, that's a good one. Truthfully, I want to see Punk and my man Orange Cassidy go at it. I think that would be good. There's AEW has so many young guys that you can have good matches with. I could give two shits if Daniel Bryan's coming over there. I know that's unpopular, but no, I think the only thing I don't like is, okay, we've got Punk coming back, and you know, we'll talk about it when we get to the Dynamite. You got the Big Show coming back too. Now that crowd didn't give a shit about the Big Show. They cared about Punk. That was a massive, massive reaction.
Oh yeah, and then also for other things which I'm coming to terms to understanding is there could be even like a side storyline for like one of those times when it's, you know, there's no pay-per-view in months, blah blah blah. We could actually have a nice little rehashing and also storyline of like CM Punk with even Cole Cabana from all the outside of the ring fiascos that were just with lawsuits. Nothing with technically with them besides they have the fallout because of the shit show of it. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of opportunity. I think that's why it goes into we're walking into even last night's Rampage, because I think since obviously this is the first episode, we can also just talk about our first what's your feelings on AEW Rampage with 2 episodes under the belt?
I like it. I like it a lot for 2 reasons. It's an hour, so they didn't add much more to it. So you got a nice 3 matches, and I like that and I don't watch SmackDown, but I like that it airs after SmackDown, just because it's not making it doesn't want to divide the audience. You know, there's something for everyone. And then like last night after Rampage was GCW off the rails. You know, they even waited, which is smart. But I like Rampage. I like the format. I like that it's a quick show. I hate the 4-man announce team. Mark Henry is the shits. I mean, every once in a while, you know, you're not talking over Jericho when he's on there. But like last night, Excalibur, I have no problem with Excalibur. He knows the names of all the moves. Jim Ross, I mean, the same stuff. Oh, it's bowling shoe ugly and all that, you know, but it works. And Taz, I've always thought Taz is a great heel commentator. But then every once in a while, they're like, you know, beautiful German suplex, and Mark Henry. It's not German. It's like, who put him in the booth? Then when he has to interview him, he's like, John Moxley, are you mad about what happened? It's like, God, just get the mic away from me. Get rid of that stupid 4-man team. Just make it 2.
I'm happy that Excalibur is besides last night, because they had good old JR for the storyline. Jericho didn't make it, blah blah blah. But I'm glad they are giving Excalibur a show of his own. He's the lead guy, and the first episode, as obviously shows what I'm assuming is the real team of Taz, Excalibur, Mark Henry, and Jericho. My personal opinion, I actually don't mind. I mean, I guess I don't see it as his draw, like his voice draw. I actually like Mark Henry as when they use him as the gopher of like, hey, and we're gonna cut a promo before the main event. And I like that Rampage does like that, not so backstage shit. They just do like a set promo with 3 teleprompters, like, hey, what do you think? And then goes into a video. Hey, what do you think? Goes to that video, and here's our main event, and it cuts. It doesn't feel that bad, but I will say in 2 episodes, you say you like an hour, but I think I'm more happy that this hour makes me want more AEW. Mm-hmm. It's not long in the tooth. It doesn't, it's fast. It's fat. It feels faster than Dynamite, and Dynamite does 2 hours of full blown wrestling, and then they have the in ring promos. Like last night, CM Punk was like a treat. Hey, you want 15 minutes of somebody standing in the ring talking? You got it. Because that first episode was high octane, balls to the wall. We flew through that hour and had 3 great matches. Last night's ones, in my opinion, were very just jobbers, and then the tag one was should have been the main event. But this is how AEW works. I was fine with it because I watched AEW Dark, and I also watched AEW Dark Elevation, where some of those matches are only 2, maybe 3 minutes long, and then it just like it's a job session. But the idea of like with the Jade Cargill, I like her as a her character, but on TV she hasn't been on TV since like almost Brandy got pregnant, and then she had, you know what I mean, of like actual AEW TV time. She's been running Dark Elevation stuff and promos and all this blah blah blah, but like to have her back on TV for a 2-minute thing hopefully gives the fans like the idea, oh, she's the next big like beast compared to like Nyla Rose, of just being able to power through the ring and then be done. And then they also had like it was a job, but obviously the Jon Moxley one was kind of like, hey, you like Jon Moxley, so let him be the main event and then have him do the whole walkout. Because last night it was at 10 minutes to 11. I'm doing it in my clock. I'm like, okay, Moxley's finishing, and it takes Moxley about 6 minutes to get to the ring from his walk. So I'm like, holy smoke, we're gonna have a short time.
I like Mox. I don't like, now my second favorite wrestler, got to give her a plug, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Other than that, I hate their women. Their women wrestlers are, I think they got a couple good ones. I think Statlander's good. Of course, I love Britt. I'm about done with that. And I think what I get mad at is these women matches, and not sexist, because I think WWE has amazing women wrestlers. I think TNA or Impact, whatever you want to call it, for as horrible as it is, has fantastic women wrestlers. AEW does not have that great of a women's wrestling division. And the ones they have, they give them 20, 30-minute matches. It's just too much. I like Cargill match yesterday because it was about 1 minute long, and that's all it needed to be. So I always kind of cringe when they have a women's match, because with the exception of Baker, I mean, I could probably name you 5 that I like, and it's too much. That's my only complaint with AEW in general. I mean, they're giving you your money's worth, especially on pay-per-view, but man, they've had some shows that are over 4 hours, and I mean, you're tired. By the time that third to the last match comes around, it's like, I remember when they had the one with the Bucks against the Lucha Brothers in a ladder match, one of the best matches I've ever seen. But by the time that match hit, I had already sat through close to 3 hours of stuff, and it was like, man, I'm getting tired. You just feel the energy. Go back and watch some of these shows, especially in the early days when they were outside. That crowd gets tired. I mean, not every match needs to be long. You need a 2-minute match. You need a comedy match. You need to break it up a little bit.
I don't know how to feel about that, because I'm a person who believes in I do like the women's matches at some point. I like because like it all involves like how they were, like all the Japanese girls like Hikaru Shida, they obviously have a different style, so it is a little bit more of a stretched out match. But I do agree that the women's division of AEW just needs they just need someone in the back to help push these ideas, to help like Tony Khan, because Tony Khan, if he's the how he said it, the lead of creative on the men's side, I think he does need that second in hand for just to focus on women, because like you said, you get tired of it, but also I think it's because there's so much content or like setups they have to do. They need another person at the helm to help.
See, and I don't watch WWE anymore. It's unwatchable. But Charlotte and Sasha, Bailey, I'll even put Nia in there. These people can go 25, 35, 45 minutes. They can headline stuff.
I don't know if Nyla
Nia couldn't.
Nia Jax, no.
Like as much as I love Britt, but Britt she's new. She's limited. So Britt versus Thunder Rosa, that was a great match. It's about 12 minutes long. It had blood and everything. If I got to watch like Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker for 20 minutes, it's gonna stink about 7 minutes in. So I don't know. I just think they should, like you said, they need somebody back there to be coaching. Get like a Molly Holly, a Trish Stratus. Get one of these, girls from, back in the day that can Lita, for God's sakes, would be awesome in that role. Just get somebody back there that can kind of help and maybe give them a little direction, edit them a little bit.
Yeah. If I think maybe also it's because of to take a step more back to then we'll get into the Dynamite is there are a lot more girl wrestling matches in the YouTube ones, and those are in those ballpark like maybe 5 or under. So you might actually enjoy and then get into like this whole this week in particular, which we probably won't even get involved with the dark matches, but like Diamante is now starting to turn heel and use like a metal chain to like finish the fight, and then brings up Big Swole, comes out and all that stuff. And like those are the little things that like, because right now AEW has opened the forbidden door. Some of those other things that they were kind of working on, like Big Swole was on TV before, but now they're getting overshadowed to good things. But also at the same time, your brand is suffering for like the women division, which, take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? I just think, but there are some decent little quick dark matches on the website, on the YouTube right now.
I miss Joey Janela. They need him back on TV. I think he's hurt a little bit. He did the little heel turn on the YouTube show. Well, he always was a heel, but they need him back. I like Janela. I miss Janela, and like I said, yeah. I think it's hurt because even on I'm a big supporter of Game Changer Wrestling, and he hasn't even been too active on that lately.
I agree, because also like I think that goes into the discussion of also like down the road of like AEW is, I think, boiling over the pot, and I think they just need either a couple more belts, or at least the idea of start to spread out the storyline. Has some maybe just Dynamite focused ones, and we actually get some Rampage ones after all these announcements come up, and like the storm can settle, so we can like see like what a 2 TV show AEW runs for stories and like for the whole year, not just during, hey, we got so many cool announcements, look at this guy we pull out of our ass, look at this guy, like, you know what I mean? So I'm very interested.
They should add because they're overflowing with tag teams, which is good because I like tag team wrestling. I always have. Like WCW back when it was just NWA Crockett, they had the United States tag team champions. Why don't you just do a TNT tag champion? I mean, there's the Bucks can't hold that thing forever, even though they're probably the best team in the world. But there's so many other teams out there. You could have 2 tag belts. You could add another championship. I mean,
they could add a trios belt.
Oh, and seeing that would be great because you've got so many. The one thing with AEW, everybody's in a gang. Everybody's in their own groups. Yeah, trios would be good. I mean, if you're not in a gang, you're nobody. Everybody's paired with somebody. It's your faction is anywhere from 2 to 8 people. I mean, there's nobody that's really by themselves. That's the only thing I find odd.
Yeah, there's that could be a whole nother segment other times. Like, hey, how would you like to help fix some of the things of AEW? Like, yeah, everyone's in a gang, everyone has a manager, or everybody has somebody who is from your childhood watching over them. Like,
we know Ric Flair's going to be over there.
Yeah.
I don't want him in the ring, but I mean, you could even do something with that. You got Rick, then you'll have Arn, you got Tully. It's like, shit, just get one more of them horsemen. It was interchangeable. There you go. Be managed by I mean, it's gonna happen eventually. I'm assuming Flair will be there with Andrade, or he'll be there. I mean, and sadly, I think he's gonna be in the ring.
WCW, you can, because they already have Dean Malenko. They could have there's the 4th horseman.
Yeah, I mean, anybody. It's just I hate Arn. I hate Arn in that role of the coach because it's so dumb. He's got it looks like a goddamn menu, a laminated piece of paper. At least when Callis came down, in the gimmick, he's got the whistle and he's got the little stopwatch. He's wearing, it's like, okay, this guy's just doing a goof, but he's actually playing the part of a coach. Arn just sits there. He's got his menu, and sometimes Cody, he goes, and he doesn't even talk. He's terrible. I mean, I get that Arn needed a job and DDP probably didn't, so that's why they took Paige out of that role. But Arn's not even animated. He stinks, and Cody loses all the time. Cody needs a new coach. His coach is the shits because all he does is lose. I mean, he needs a new playbook there.
That's funny because it's things that you see just as a fan or even just watching. You're like, why is this guy even out there? Why is he talking to somebody at the end of at the corner of the ring, just going and hiding it behind how you say it, the menu? Hey, listen, and then but yeah,
well, at least get out there, hit the ring, or come on. He doesn't. Tully at least will walk around. He'll interfere. He'll cheat. He'll talk. Arn he just stands there. He is the most useless corner man I've ever seen. Because think about it. I mean, if you really want to look at the gimmick, they're like Cody Rhodes. This history. Arn's his coach. Arn's telling him what to do. And the guy loses all the time. And don't get me wrong, I like that Cody loses because everybody knows he's like so high up in the company. So I think that's good. But if your gimmick is this is your coach, this is the guy that's going to train you, and all you do is lose, your coach sucks. You need to fire him and make that an angle. I mean, at least I get to watch Arn hopefully get kicked again by Malachi Black this week. And then I get to see his kid get beat up too. I mean, he might take out that whole family. And Rick Flair will run in for the save.
I don't know about that because I think Malachi could kill it, would knock him out too with his fucking kick. That's been a conversation at my work. I'm like, I feel bad for Brock Anderson. He's just going to die this next Wednesday, and then has to especially since I know that we're in this weird tether of time of like Cody has his child's not born yet, right?
I don't think so.
Like,
I won't lie to you. I'm not a big Cody guy, so I don't really keep up on him.
I'm just going by what I'm like, I don't think his kid's born just yet. And that's why Adam, that goes into another discussion down the road. I'm curious because of I think AEW does really good storytelling, but also their storytelling is so on a thin paper. So like they had Adam Page set up to become the champion, or get pushed for the championship, and then he fails. And then he's been kind of written off the story now. And then to find out after that happened, oh, did you know Adam Page just had a kid? Mm-hmm. So he got kind of written off for out of work stuff, but like they didn't really talk about it, and they just kind of let the thing just fizzle out when it was doing pretty well, in my opinion. That
Page,
story.
I mean, the money match has always been Page and Omega, and I really do think that Page will be the first guy to kick out of that one-winged angel, but I'm a Dark Order mark. I had no shame in admitting that. But in a way, I liked that Page and them lost in their match because it was like everybody was going into it. Everybody. No one can ever say different. Page is going to win. They're going to get all these matches. Yeah. It's going to come down to the Bucks against Omega. Page is going to beat all three of them. And sure enough, it came down to the Bucks and Omega against Page. Page beats, I don't know which Buck. I can't tell them apart, and then he loses. And it was kind of like, in one sense, it's like, well, this sucks because I really wanted the Dark Order to get a tag shot. But then in the same sense, it's like, I didn't see this coming. So I did the element of surprise there. I did like, I thought Christian and Omega had I was surprised how good that match they had was on last week's Rampage, but I'm still not buying it as a main event for a pay-per-view.
Really?
Yeah, I loved Edge and Christian together. I don't really give a shit about either one. Christian, I mean, I think it's coming that Christian's going to turn on the Lucha Express or the Boy and His Dinosaur. Something's going to happen there. That's a given because Christian's a natural heel. But no, to me, that's not a match I care about. I'd rather see, because Page and Omega is that's going to be the money match right there.
Yeah, looking forward to it. But yeah, if you you want to break down this last week's Dynamite, like how you had set up, let's roll with it.
Let me pull it up. So Dynamite this week, which would have been on the August 18th show. The show opens with, to me, it had a stupid opening. You had Mox and Kingston come into the ring for an interview, and they get jumped by 2.0, and I always got to look up that kid's name, Daniel Garcia.
Yeah.
No reason, and then 2.0, they come in, all right, because they're already scheduled. They're scheduled for the match with Sting and Darby in a Texas Tornado match, which is basically a no DQ match. They knee clip Moxley. They take out Kingston. They come in the ring and they go, "We want to fight Sting and Darby Allin." It's like, the match is already made. We knew that last week. So I thought having Mox and Kingston come down was just dumb. I mean, that to me, that was bad booking. That served no purpose. And then Sting and Darby came out. I thought the match was a hell of a match, but I mean, what the hell did they do to what the hell did they hit Moxley with? Kingston at least came back to kind of even the odds. Moxley didn't, he must just went back home. But I'm dumbfounded. It was like, what was the point of this? To come to the ring and say they want to fight Sting and Darby when that match is already made. Hell,
I love that you came to me about this weekly AEW show review, and we did it on the week of, in my opinion, was the worst in promos in the past couple weeks of that show. And you just I didn't even think about it like that because of just how, watching the show, or like you're sitting down, you're getting your drink ready, you got maybe some food on your lap, you're ready to eat, watch the show, and I'm like, oh yeah, John Moxley and Eddie Kingston are gonna walk through the crowd, get the crowd pumped up because he's out in the crowd, and then 2.0 comes out and they're like, we want I'm like, oh, you just hit it. I'm like, that is bad booking. It is, because we'll walk it more down to this whole show, but I think almost every microphone moment of this episode was a miss, in my opinion. But
the funny thing is, when it comes to Kingston, I think Kingston, I could listen to him cut a promo. He's like I don't know what the word I want is. He's like a version of like what Shane Douglas used to be back in the day. He can talk for a half hour and you're glued on every word. But when you hear ding, 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 then he stinks. So I think I'd rather see him as a mouthpiece, but not that Moxley needs one. I mean, he can talk, but yeah, I mean, Sting and Darby came out, and I mean, goddamn, what's Sting? 62 years old,
yeah,
and he can still go. I mean, and I like that he's always, and I don't know if anyone's caught on to this, he's in these types of matches to protect him. The cinematic match, these tornado matches, he can hit his spots. Darby's gonna take the bump like that. The spot where 2.0 or 2.1, I don't know them apart, picked Darby up and smashed him into that into the wall when they were fighting up at the top. I mean, Darby, he kills himself, but I mean, I thought the match was great. What was it, like maybe 10, 12 minutes long? But it was good. And it all set up for the spot where Sting could Scorpion Death leg lock two guys at once, and I like how Ross kept playing up Sting's back on TNT. He hasn't been on TNT in so long. He was good at telling the story there of the history that Sting has on that channel and everything. So I liked the match. I just thought the 5 minutes beforehand was just dumb.
Totally. And I think it goes into also, like you said, it goes into they've done 2 for 2 for when Sting, or no, excuse me, 3 for 3 when Sting is actually wrestling. They booked him perfect for Sting himself. And also, like you said, it's more for the beginning was terrible of how the intro was, but the idea of, at the end of the day, the whole conversation was, we just watched a 62-year-old man go through the table, come up like Hulk Hogan, just to double fucking sharpshooter 2 of them to get him tap out for the gimmick. And they got to do the little stinger splashes, and like I there's a red flag I heard, because like they even talked about in the while they're wrestling, like, yeah, Sting has been very cautious since 1989 when he had his knee surgery. I'm like what? Like has a couple minutes of, I see why that more shout out for Delvin. He's like, Sting's wrestling has not been a go out there fucking move. It's been very choreographed. We're gonna do splashes, we're gonna do hooks, or like death his DET and all that shit.
The death drop.
Yeah. So like, but they've been doing a really good job booking Sting for this run to keep him healthy and keep the gimmick going for AEW, which I like. And I think that first match was okay. I'm still kind of not understanding why they just also this week gave 2.0 the green light. They're all elite now. They're going to be there. But I'm like, who are these guys? I didn't even know who they were until these past couple weeks. I'm like, who gives a fuck? But then I'm like, oh, they're the new TV heel at the moment, because I think they've been doing some audibles. I think with the Acclaimed and like the whole little fiasco, which we'll get into with a certain other promo this week. I think it might have had to do a couple. We had to get another tag team, because I think the Acclaim could have been a really good spot for this, even this death match, or even the couple weeks of them instead of them running dark matches. But we'll get into what I'm trying to get to when we get to that promo with that old man. I don't even know his name, from the who got knocked out in Miami.
You know, my thing with the Acclaim promo, the only thing I got to say to that, I'm not agreeing with what the guy said. The lacrosse thing he shouldn't have said. The rest of it I thought was kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. But that's not a live show. That's a TV show. You know, you mean to tell me that wasn't done on purpose? Bullshit. Everything's a work. You come out, you say this, it's controversial. We're going to pull it, and you're going to get a 2-month suspension and all that. It's like, nah, that's just building heat. That's my opinion. But you know, I think the other thing, like you said, with the Acclaimed is a heel tag team. 2.0 is a heel tag team. I mean, what's Private Party or heels? Almost all your other teams are good guys. So you got to get a few more heels. 2.0 is they're doing okay, but this was just the big spot. Let's see, like you said, Sting's going to hulk up. He's going to hit his move. Darby's going to do a couple crazy moves, and the crowd will see Moxley and Kingston for a couple seconds. And maybe it was just done to, because I've noticed that everything done on Dynamite, it basically sets up Rampage. Could be that it was just done to set up the Moxley fight. I don't know. It was just dumb to me. Not the match. I love the match. I'd give the match. Actually, I'd probably give the match. If I wanted to grade on A, B, C, D, E, or A, B, C, D, F, I'd probably give the match a B plus, maybe even an A, because it was so exciting and short. But you didn't need the jump start in the beginning. It didn't make sense to me.
I'm right there with you. I was like, right before you said a grade, I was going to say I'd give it a B plus, and then I think this is where I think it might. I don't want to say like that, because it's only been 2 weeks, and then also they had the pay-per-view. But I'm hoping this is just a couple slip ups to show Tony Khan can handle 2 shows of like real shows. And the Acclaim thing, I didn't hear exactly what you said, that because to my knowledge, that rap that he got, for, he just said letters stick with me how I'm saying it. He said a letter of a kit. You have to be an adult to understand what that kit was. But for anyone who wanted for a free show, you'd have to like, what? And like, you know what I mean? Everyone just went, ooh. So it worked the crowd at that moment in time. But anybody who is like a Joe Schmo or a kid would be like, oh, okay.
Ooh, my son is 12. He had no idea what the fuck any of that meant. You know,
exactly.
Got to be how many people know about the Duke lacrosse rape scandal that isn't an adult, keeping up on the news from a few years back? I mean,
I bet money this was more under the radar than like when he rapped against John Moxley and say, your girl's in my phone asking for oral sessions, which obviously is her podcast. But you know what I mean? That's more of a slang than whatever was going on in that. And I thought because I like the Acclaim. I'm like, man, these guys are going to do somewhere. But then But yeah, the next match, I can't remember what the next match was for
The
Dynamite.
next match was Shawn Spears against Sammy Guevara. I love
That
Sammy.
was good.
Sammy is a ring general for, especially for a young kid. Amazing talent. A big fan of Sammy, and they had Sammy's hometown, so there he's got to propose to his girlfriend, and that was a little feel good moment. And she's in the front row clapping for him. I really believed that, because I'm old school. Anytime your girlfriend, your wife, is in the crowd, something's going to happen. I figured Spears was going to maybe punch her or maybe kiss her or grab her, do the Rick Rude, Jake the Snake wife thing, but he didn't. I mean, she was just in the crowd, so that was different.
Blew a kiss to her.
Yeah, I figured he would have, like, maybe grabbed her, maybe. So I figured something was going to happen to her, which it didn't. Which I guess that's good, but that match was good, and I really, really liked. I like Sammy. Excuse me. I loved when he took off his knee pad and hit him with like those 3 or 4 knees. Busted him hard and everything. Sammy, for what is he, 25, 26? Maybe even younger for as young as he is. Man, he can lead a match. And once again, Tully's out there. Tully was interfering. Tully was a good in the ring. I think Spears is good. I like the gimmick that he has, the chair. I thought they had a TV match, I guess would be the way that I would say it. Just a nice little back and forth match. And I really liked it. And that crowd, Sammy's hometown, they were so hot for him. I think that's another thing I have to point out that really makes AEW so special, is those crowds are so hot. I mean, it's such a combination of smart fans, casual fans, straight up marks. It really helps. I mean, you really could have a boring match, but that crowd is so hot, you're not going to know it watching at home. So, and that match had a hot crowd, and I thought the match was very good. It was a good back and forth, high fly, technical brawl. I liked it.
I liked it a lot too, and I can only imagine that, like you said, that crowd, AEW's crowd, are very smart, and they also have to, even like, that's a crowd that is going into a show that's 2 hours plus all the other dark tapings, and they're still hot through the whole thing. And it goes into even like at the end of the show, like the stipulations for Jericho, but that crowd gave a moment of them singing Juice Effect. I'm like, you can't, like, WWE would have to pay their fans to get that going again. They've had it before, but you know what I mean? To have that moment and have them feel so connected to the stories and stuff is long and gone from WWE, but I'm glad to see it in AEW.
I don't know. Do you watch Game Changer Wrestling?
I need links. I don't know where to find it.
They do basically a weekly pay-per-view. You might as well say they have so much stuff on the Fight app. Order one.
Fight app. Okay.
They're all good. They range from $4 to $15. They're not expensive. That crowd is, and I have to keep putting over their crowd. Their crowd is so hot. Maybe they've got 500 to 1,000 people. You think it's goddamn Madison Square Garden sold out. I mean, that crowd, like the AEW crowd, you can feel it. It really does make it more exciting.
Yeah, because GCW is the one that I'm going to use his wrong name for outside of WWE, but that's the one Zack Ryder took the belt from Nick Cage, right?
Yeah, and everybody was throwing the trash. And we watched that one. Everybody was throwing the trash in the ring. That is a hot crowd. And a lot of times, I'll watch them I want to see what the crowd, is going to be like. So I can't put them over enough. But yeah, and I like that AEW, because, they've had Gage over there, Janela, of course, Marco Stunt goes back and forth. I like that they have working relationships with all these other little indie companies, because it kind of helps all the parties involved.
It helps even like the idea of like, what was the last? There's like one of the last Lance Archer matches that he picked up a fan and used them and threw them. And I'm like, that you cannot. That's definitely a indie trick, and that was a really good. It was fun, and I enjoy it. No, and Sammy, back to the Sammy and Spears again. It was great, and then also I think it does show. Sammy has definitely evolved, and you probably thank Jericho for having him under the ring and the wing, and just talking and like describe. That definitely has boosted his his style. And I like Sammy too. So it was a good match. I would give it was a good solid A-, because of course it could be better, but yeah, A- for me.
Yeah, I go probably B plus. I really would have, as tacky as it sounds, I would have loved to have seen Spears whack Guevara's fiance with the chair or something, to set up more. But I think the money at the end of the day is going to be Guevara versus MJF. I think that's where all this is probably leading to. But the next segment, to me, there's no other way. And I'm a UFC guy. I love UFC. This was the stupidest fucking thing I think I've seen on television in 20 years. You've got Dan Lambert. He's a good talker. He runs Top Team. That crowd doesn't give a shit about him. Cuts a good promo. And the whole thing was Lance Archer beat me up. I'm going to have two guys on my back. And he's got Andrei Arlovsky and Junior Dos Santos. They got more glass in their jaws than chandeliers now, but they're still legitimate MMA fighters. They kill Lance Archer. That wouldn't be a match, either one of them. But you think the whole setup is going to be, here comes Lance Archer, and he's going to fight with Andrei Arlovsky. He's going to fight with Junior Dos Santos, and maybe we're going to set up a tag team match with these guys, get the crossover. No, he gets jumped. They call him out. He comes out to the ring. He gets jumped. I can't remember who jumped him.
Scorpio Sky.
Sky and Page.
Yeah.
What the hell did you need Dan Lambert and those guys for? Just have have Archer be walking out to the ring, just have him be first, and these two guys jump him. What the hell was the point of a 15-minute promo? There was no payoff. He's coming to the ring. I'm going to answer you, to set up a feud with Page and Sky. It was just dumb. That was the worst booking I've ever seen from AEW, to be honest with you. It was stupid.
There's a lot to unpack on that moment in time because of whatever side of the spectrum of politics you do. But basically they brought someone he's talking very conservative and having a red state of Texas boo him, which is okay. Or what are you trying to do, Tony? Are you trying to make it show like, a red state can boo a conservative, blah, blah, blah. And then he's talking about cancel culture and like, you guys are, and he made it sound like, oh, you guys don't follow cancel culture, blah, blah, blah. But then at the same time, under the lines, the Acclaim suspended for a gimmick.
Yeah.
So, and like you have, like, it goes into like for every smart, at the actual arena fans, there are probably double smart people outside of the ring, like us watching on TV. So I'm like, this did not go over well, just because I had whatever, like, I don't give a fuck about this guy. He's not even connected to professional wrestling. He's connected to UFC. I know that's a big faux pas with people of, UFC and double whatever. It don't affect me. But also then to have, you knew more people behind him than I did. I'm like, who are these guys behind him? Who are these guards? And then Lance come out and then he gets jumped by one of AEW's own. I'm like, it just don't make sense. And then also it was very bad booking. It was another strike of every single time there was a microphone on this episode. It was just a flop, in my opinion.
And I'm not saying they haven't ever done, like, to me, that one of the dumbest ever was, I got to go back a little bit. Cody's fighting Darby. Now, keep in mind, when Cody came down to the ring, he always has 37 fucking people with him. So he comes down with this whole group of people. Him and Darby are fighting. Here comes Brian Cage and that other idiot, Ricky Starks, and they jump him and they're beating him down. And this was before Powerhouse Hobbs was part of Team Taz. So Powerhouse Hobbs, he comes down, he makes the save. Okay, and I get that you wanted to get Hobbs over. He's running these guys off. He's making the save. Cody came down with legitimately 7 fucking people in the beginning of the match. He had the whole Mr. Ass family. He had his wife. He had everybody. Why didn't any of those people come out to save him? Did they leave? And to me, that's how this felt to me. It was like, here's this whole setup. I mean, we had 2 weeks of build up. This guy's coming. He's bringing UFC fighters. They're going to confront Lance Archer. And Lance Archer gets jumped by 2 guys that already worked there. That's the end. I guarantee you that there's not going to be anything more to that. It was just dumb. That literally was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. If I had to grade that, I'd give that an F just for stupidity.
Yeah. F for me too, and like not trying to be agree. It was just totally irrelevant, and also just didn't work. Didn't work at all.
No, and his promo was just made to, get a little bit of heat, but it wasn't it wasn't really a good promo. It was just dumb. If you're gonna just have your own guy get jumped by one of your own, have one of your own just cut a promo in the beginning. It served no purpose. And contrary to what I think a lot of people think, there is some crossover with UFC and wrestling, but for the most part, the diehards of both don't watch the other. They
Right.
don't.
And it goes into like even like just for another reference, like the Sports Center people were talking about CM Punk's entrance today in the comment section, are like, this ain't even a real sport. So I mean that goes into that whole mentality. But yeah, the next what was next?
Next was a good match. That was the Bucks against the Lucha Express. Lucha Express are, why do I keep calling them the Jurassic Express? They're so over, and they're so good. And that match is so hot. The Bucks have it to a science with that 1-2 kick out at that last split second. The constant dives to save, and the Bucks look like two jackasses. I mean, you want to boo them. They're natural heels. Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, they're natural baby faces. That match, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think the Bucks are ever gonna lose their belt on a TV show, but there were a couple times there where I thought I thought they were gonna win. I mean, that was a hell of a match. That AEW does tag matches right, in my opinion. That was a hell of a match.
They did a really good job. I was like you just said, because my brain when I'm watching, I didn't realize that we don't know the whole card of All Out. So the idea of I didn't know. Yeah, I'm still kind of surprised on that, which is good. That keeps the ball rolling. But the idea of like, okay, I'm like, are they gonna win? And like, I'm like, oh nope. And then it ends up this whole new idea for the steel cages coming for the All Out. I'm like, ooh, nice. And then I do feel for some of these other heel tags, but just stick to this one. I think growing facial hair has been the best thing out of the Elite in the past couple months for them to become heels, and like that's been like they look really great as heels now with that. And I even like who's their buddy with the face mask, like NBA face mask, Caster with the fucking weird aerosol spray, always spraying their back. That they've been doing. They know how to sell really well, and like hopefully other teams in the locker rooms are catching wind and like, oh, just go 100% in that gimmick and it works. It's been.
I wish they would do. I mean, you can't really take turns jobbing because you have the belts, but and I like the belts mean something, but they haven't lost in a while, which I think they're due maybe at this cage match. But at first, for the last like month, I was kind of like, and I give Tony Khan a lot of credit. I was like, God damn, the Bucks they have to cheat every week. It's making them look weak, and I think it really does make Omega look weak. But every week they're cheating, and then that's when they said there ain't gonna be no more of these shenanigans. It's gonna be in the cage. There was a payoff to having to sit through all this. Outside interference with the Bucks and Omega it's too much, especially with Omega. It's too overdone. But now they're in the cage, so I did like that, and I've just got this feeling something's gonna happen next week, and it's gonna end up being because everybody pretty much thinks, okay, it's gonna be the Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers in the cage. I think something might happen, and it's gonna be a 3-way in the cage because I think that's a big payoff because I don't think either team needs to job.
You think Lucha Brothers are going to go to the steel cage, not Jurassic Express? Because I know you've been doing a little bit of mess ups when you're talking.
Yeah, I keep fucking their names Penta and Phoenix, who I'm
Lucha Brothers.
The Lucha Brothers. I think I thought for sure because they've already fought the Bucks normal. They fought them in the ladder. I was like, okay, this is a given. They're going to be in the cage. But then I started thinking the Jurassic Express. I got to write this down. Maybe something will happen, and they'll do the old ECW trick where they go to the draw, or there'll be interference, or something will happen, and Khan will be like, you know what? It's going to be a 3-way dance in the cage. I've just got this feeling because nobody wants to see the Lucha Brothers lose. No one wants to see the Jurassic Express lose. I think something might happen, and then they all go in the cage, and hopefully the Bucks do drop the belts to one of them.
Yes.
It's due for them to. They're due. They need to lose the belts. They've had it long enough.
I agree. Hopefully you can. This blows up and you can maybe pick up a spot for booking, because that would sound really good. I'm like, ooh, a 3-way steel cage, and then 2/3 of the chance that Young Bucks could lose. I'm like, okay, I like that.
I would let Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus have the belts. Penta and Phoenix don't need it. They're obviously, the setup is going to be they're going to join Andrade's gang. They're going to do that turn, but they're over. They're champs in Mexico. They don't need it. Jungle Boy's a young kid. Luchasaurus is, when he had to run in Lucha Underground until Johnny Mundo cut off his head. I mean, they need the belts. I mean, the Bucks don't need the belts. Lucha Brothers don't. Yeah. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, I mean, people love them. I love Marco Stunt. I got no shame in admitting that. That's a good gang. It's time for, they need their turn. And I think in a cage, Luchasaurus is big. Have him climb out of the cage. I mean, that would be impressive. Or jump off the cage. Something will happen in that cage.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
In the next segment, it was Big Show got in the ring. Now, people, if they missed it, and I talked about this on the show at the Pitbull, anytime, let's say you're Tony, it started out because QT Marshall, I love QT Marshall. He's another one. He's a great talker. And in real life, I wear a lot of bowling shirts too. So he's my guy. When you do the bit where he's supposed to apologize to Shivani, they grab Shivani's kid out from the front row. They punch him. Big Show makes the save. Tony Schiavone's kid ain't sitting in the fucking front row. He's in the back with the wrestlers watching on the monitor. Anytime your family member's in the front row, something's going to happen. To me, that was stupid. But the Big Show comes out and he's like, okay. And I think Show can talk. All right, QT, and they're talking. Well, Tony Khan made the match. It's me and you at the pay-per-view. And QT makes a great face. Go back and watch it. That crowd didn't care. All we can hope for is Big Show, who wants to prove he can start, Paul White, who wants to prove he can still go. That needs to be a 2-minute match. That needs to be a Goldberg squash. He choke slams QT, bing bang, that's it. The segment was not good. The promo wasn't good. QT's face at the end when they said, you got the match, and he's sitting there like, that was good. But I mean, other than that, no, it was just silly. No one wants to see that.
It either has to be Goldberg squash match to have Paul win, or double down and QT being a heel, and they should just all three of them should just make it a DQ and go, fight Paul Wright and actually break him down and like do that, because they put out the whole X-ray shit, and like that again, it goes into that. It's not as bad as that MMA guy, but it was another flop on the mic, and how you said it was dead. Again, I'm on TV. I'm not looking at like hearing the crowd. Like I can't tell that difference. Besides, okay, I guess I have the CM Punk reference now as a pop, but the idea of QT did sell the fear really well with that face. And then I'm just interested, like, do they need this match? No, but I'm hoping, like you said, hopefully it's just a gimmick match, in and out. Let's get Paul in. He's obviously gonna have, like, I feel for him, because he ain't gonna lie, his theme songs are right there, but it's never gonna be the Big Shows. We're like, it's hard.
Yeah, and he's, and I hope and pray that it's not a setup for Shivani's kid to come in and help him or anything. No, I want it to be ding ding ding, slam ding ding ding. We don't need any more. That does not need to go. I like QT more in the managerial talk kind of role. I think Big Show's a good talker. I don't need the match.
I didn't even want Big Show in the ring anymore. I thought he was going to do. I thought having him in the background with even Mark Henry as those guys, because they're on the microphone is being a little rough, because obviously now that's some, like, they might can cut a promo, but them doing announcer shit is a job. They're getting their legs, but they're not there yet. But I was hoping there'd be more of the back of the house, get that mentality of course not try to be WWE mentality, but the idea of getting your shtick, helping people get their promo, or get a promo, or also help people get their gimmick. But we'll see how it goes. Maybe this is like hopefully it's a one-time thing for this pay-per-view, and then Paul's back on Dark Elevation talking to. He does a really great job with Eddie Kingston does announcing work for Elevation. They do really good together.
Yeah, then he had another terrible promo. Andrade, you got the Penta and Phoenix, the Death Triangle. They're with Pac. Here comes Andrade, and to me it's so dumb. Andrade comes out. You can't understand a fucking word the guy says. I don't know when his English got so bad because it never was that horrid. He comes out, he says a little bit, "Oh, you're working for Pac," and then Chavo can talk. He'll never be Eddie, but he can talk. Chavo comes out. All that was, and then he gives him a big book. Here's my stipulations, and I'm sure they're going to have a good match. But the angle, once again, it's dumb. It's like, why do you work for this guy? Motherfucker, they don't work for him. He's not there. That is so dumb. Just say he's, and he's trying to recruit Penta and Phoenix into like a gang he's trying to build. Why not just try to get all three of them? I mean, it's just, to me, it was just dumb. And Andrade, I mean, he was NXT, he was okay. And that's all I'm going to say about him. He's okay. I think he deserves better than what he got in WWE, but he's not a main event guy to me. He's not. I don't think his promos are that good. I think he's an average worker. I think Pac will carry him to a good match. But the segment, again, it's every week, hey, why don't you work for me? Why do you work for this? It's just dumb. And it was, like you said, it just went into the line of yet another bad promo.
Do you have any I don't either, but do you have any references with Andrade back like in AAA, how he this last week? I saw good video clips from the Kenny Omega versus Andrade, so I didn't know if you had any references back when he was more of just the lucha side of him.
He's okay, but I mean, Kenny Omega have a good match with the Grape. I mean,
okay.
I mean, he can, I mean, Andrade's not bad. He does some nice moves. The thing that hurts for me, and Andrade does not have a personality. Looks like $1 million. I love the diamond mask that he wears, the luchador mask necklace. Love the suits. He's got a perfect look, but it just, and I know people get mad when I say this. I don't see Andrade as a main event guy. Not yet. Not over there, because I think there's guys that can outwork the shit out of him.
Okay.
I think he's okay. I don't think I'm sure they'll have a good match, but there's got to be another way to do it, not just, because here's a guy who's coming in and like, he's coming in like, I'm the greatest guy ever. We just watched you fucking job on WWE. WWE they did terrible with him, but you can't bring in a guy who spent 6-7 months on Raw, either losing or not there, and him coming out like I'm the greatest in the world. It's like, no, because the audience watches both shows for the most part. They've seen you as a loser. WWE did such a bad job with him. I mean, they even fucked him in my eyes, but I'm hoping he can redeem himself.
I think you've nailed it on the head. I think it was in the wrong promotion, and then I am looking forward to it because also like I do have Andrade's vision of like when he was in NXT, he did really well there.
He did.
He had the right people watching over him, Triple H, and then so I am looking forward to the Pac and Andrade match. I think it's gonna go, but I think it's also I don't think no one's gonna double say what you said about him being a main eventer, because also at the same time AEW is using him only right now at mid card.
Yeah,
he would be like this next week is Eddie Kingston versus Miro. After this whole little convo of like this first introduction, but if Miro calls out Andrade, I'll be like, yes, now that's a match I'm looking for, because I know the big guy and he's the high flyer who can. I didn't like that gimmick for those last two matches. I don't know if they did it for the Fuego match, but the idea of like, oh, the secret weakness of Miro is just doing a tornado DDT. I'm like, oh boy.
And this is going to be very unpopular. Like this is going to be the most unpopular thing probably on the internet. I don't like Miro's new gimmick as God's greatest.
All right, delete.
Because here we go. When Miro was just a goof playing video games, he was funny. I mean, I liked that. I don't know why they got rid of it. That was a great gimmick. I don't like
the best
it now.
man.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, like you interrupted my video game, I'm going to kill you, best friends, and all that. I thought it was funny because he's a good heel, but he's also just a naturally likable. Goddamn, my wife watches the Divas show. When he was on it with Lana, he was my favorite diva. I mean, he's a likable person, and but he is big. He's a monster. I mean, he plays both parts perfectly. But I kind of like the best man. I kind of like that a little bit better. But it's kind of hard to take this guy. And here he's the funny comedy guy, and boom, next week he's badass, which is probably what he should have been the whole time he got there. But I miss the best man. I wish that would come back, but I do like Miro a lot. Miro and Andrade would be a good match.
Yeah, I'm looking for it's the sky's the limit with AEW right now. They make their own hiccups, but the sky's the limit with the talent they got.
Well, the next match to me didn't have much talent. I mean, you had Thunder Rosa. She's good against Penelope Ford. She's not good. Penelope Ford's beautiful. I won't say she's not. And they're kind of pushing her. She's got some submissions, and the crowd did not care about this match. They didn't. And this was a 12-minute match or so that seemed 45 to me. It was slow. It seemed awkward. Crowd was not into it. When their crowd not to be into something is a bad sign. This was the popcorn match. This is, I'm gonna get my snack. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Is a bad match. I mean, it just, to me, it goes back to the whole thing. The lady matches are just not that good.
It made me think: was this like a quick? Oh no, we forgot a match. YouTube, because I mean, Penelope Ford usually wears that, but also she has that other actual suit that's more of a actual ring attire. This one looks like she's like, oh, you need me to go work? Let me just put on my non-rippable pants, and I'll put on with this corset, then we'll just go out there and do what we gotta do. But like, they have been picking up some women wrestlers. Like Thunder Rosa is a great pickup for All Elite, but also then because they've had a very weak startup for the women's, all the women wrestlers that sign up early, besides Britt, because I think she had the best time to marinate, but like Penelope, even like using Rio, or even like the ones that the other two other Japanese wrestlers that are just started to come back. I forgot the one with the little bob, and then the older one that trained Sheeta and all them. They kind of are now getting their sea legs back and through dark matches. But the idea of Penelope was one that she's a really great manager. Just be on the ringside, stare and look, boys. But she does do, and then she also did really good manager spots of like, oh, the person not looking, I'm going to do a hurricanrana, boom, you're hurt. So I think Penelope, I mean, she deserves, if she is being taught right, she could do a run. But yeah, it was a really floppable match this week.
Big old D for me on that one.
Just like her. Never mind.
Well, then we had another. This was probably, I lied. Dan Lambert didn't have the worst segment. The worst segment was next. Here's the Team Taz. I love Taz. Taz can talk. Taz's son or whatever. Hook, he don't talk. He's just got weird hair. But you cut to Starks, and Starks, he's not that great, and he sits there and he's like, oh yeah, Brian Cage ain't coming out, and then you see Powerhouse you see Cage laying there, you see Hobbs over him. Cage gets up, hits him like twice, and goes, we gotta go, yeah. And he runs off. It was like, what the fuck? Something must have needed to be. It was almost like we need 30 seconds to get something ready. I mean, because it was advertised too, the confrontation. it was just dumb. Like Page didn't start beating up Hobbs, or at least have Page Cage get the upper hand, beat down Hobbs, come to the ring, Chase Starks off. Don't just have Starks go, we gotta go, and they all run. It was like, where are they even at? They weren't like in the walkway. They weren't by Gorilla. It was just dumb. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was really rough, and I like Ricky Starks of like this run.
He's funny. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and I liked his whole little. I like the celebration with that was a better promo when he had the celebration, and then Cage came out and beat up the band. Okay, but yeah, like you said, there's a YouTube video. There's a video that people use for memes. It was Cage and Hobbs, but it looked like those two gorillas in the zoo, and they're like, somebody stop them. What do you want me to do? Like, it's just them going like they're like even hopping a little bit, like I'm like it just, and then how you said we gotta go, and then
it's like they didn't even start.
Yeah, they didn't even give us the benefit of like the camera following them in the back. Nope, they're like,
It was like either something went long and that cut it short, or they just needed a quick break. But I mean, that wasn't even a segment. I mean, their commercial break is longer. I mean, it was really. But then it's set up for the main event, which I thought the fifth labor of Jericho. I really thought the fifth labor would be on pay-per-view, but I haven't gotten into this storyline. I think they did some of the stuff in reverse, so to speak. But it was the dumbest stipulation. You can't have the music Judas play, which that was just pandering to a crowd to sing the song, which it worked. It looked good on TV. It'll make great clips, down the road. And you can't use the worst finish in the world, the Judas effect. Because, I mean, I'm sorry. That's the Judas effect. It's a back elbow. It don't knock somebody out in the UFC. It's a dumb move. But even though you already got the lion salt and the lion tamer, you can't hit a back elbow on a guy. You can't hit a basic move. But, that match was I thought the match was slow. I thought the right guy won the match. I think MJF needed to win that. But I didn't care for the fight that much. I'm not going to lie to you. There was something about it. The styles between those guys, it just, I don't know. It was like something was missing. And I know they're trying to tell the story that Jericho's tired from, all the labors he's had to do, but I think the labors were done out of order. And I didn't think the match was that good. I was just happy that MJF won. And I loved that he won clean in Jericho tap, because that makes him look all the more formidable in the future.
I kind of agree. One thing that I've noticed that people have mentioned, I agree with. I always thought the fifth labor was going to be something else, and then we could have had All Out be the final. All right, you got me. We're going to be at All Out, and that would have been a really good, even like a mid range of the whole card. But what was it? It goes into that tiredness, and then I'm looking at it wrong, but it was definitely Jericho was leading the fight, even though he's not in my eyes. But watching all these labors, he just looked rough. And maybe I don't know, but like in rough, like, oh, you chose to go drinking before the show to look like get puffy eyes or something, you know what I mean? You just looked rough, or like either these were really truly like, all right, I'm ready. It just looked rough. Jericho has been looking a little rough recently. Again, recently has been these labors, so I don't want to put it all like that, but like he just looks a little rough. Maybe he's probably happy that this storyline is not going to a pay-per-view.
Well, and to me, the labors were done. The labors were stupid. Not that they were stupid; they were out of order. So your first labor, you fight Shawn Spears, and he can use the chair. Your second labor, now you're gonna fight my man MDK all fucking day, Nick Gage, in a death match. And Gage is hitting you with the tubes, and he's pizza cutting your ass. And
yeah.
And then your third labor,
Juice.
You're gonna fight. Juventud Guerrera, guy. He's another guy. A guy you haven't fought in 20 years. You went backwards. Then it's like, now you're gonna fight Wardlow, and I'm gonna be in his corner. It's like they went backwards. Wardlow, I'm in his corner. Juventud for maybe who be the first one. if they would have done Gage ripping the shit out of him, and then now he's coming to fight MJF and he's all bandaged up and he's cut, and then you combine it was like the two hardest slavers were 1 and 2. And the Gage should have been 4, or like you said, I really was figuring the guy was going to have to do 5 things, then fight MJF. Like maybe have the 5th labor. Now you got to beat both of FTR. Work something in there. But yeah, it just wasn't. To me, they just did it out of order. It's like hard, easy. And some of the stipulations were dumb. Like you've got to beat Hoovy with the move off the top. You jump off the top with an elbow. Jericho can go off the top. That was dumb. But this to me was all done just so you could get the crowd to sing Judas, and it looked great visually, and it'll be a moment that they can always plug. To me, that was all it was. I'm just glad MJF won.
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, I am glad too, because MJF needs it, because also he's not in the ring that much, and he does really great. He's a great heel. I'm looking forward to once he gets off this being the mic heel, and then couple matches, and he actually gets into the actual back into wrestling, because he does. There were some moments I was watching the earlier AEWs when he was actually had to wrestle, like during the Cody stuff. He can go too, and obviously because he's young. So I'm not saying like that, but I'm looking forward to him actually doing actual wrestling, because I already know he's good at heels. I don't need him to roast the whole goddamn fans, because I know he can. I want some wrestling from that boy.
And he's such a. I got to go back to GCW, because, and I forgive me, I can't remember the shows a few years back. GCW, one of the like co-main, it's going to be a big dodgeball match, and you have like 10 people, and they have the 2 captains, and they're going to pick a dodgeball team. And MJF's there, he was over there, and he's into it. He's got the ball, and he's got his shorts on, and he's going like this. He's ready, and they pick 1, and they pick 2. They pick him dead last. And they're picking like out of shape people, small people, picking everybody but him. And he sits there, he's like, if I can't fucking play, nobody's gonna fucking play. And he takes the dodgeball and he runs away. It ruins the match. But it was like, God, he's so smart and for so young. I remember there was another show he did in Game Changer, and Orange Cassidy, my man, he comes out at the end and he taps MJF on the shoulder. MJF turns around, looks at him, and he's like, you idiot. If you're going to jump someone, don't tap him on the shoulder. Just the stuff that he can do. But like I said, his match with Cody was great. The spot where he bit Cody's toe. I mean, just those little simple things he does, like an early Jerry Lawler. He's so good. But this match, it was just, I don't know. Like I said, I like that he won. I like that he won clean. I always think it helps to win clean. But it makes him better, because like I still say the money's him and Guevara. But it was for the ending of something we've invested a month into. It felt almost anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Maybe had the crowd saying Judas at the end to get him pumped up or something. I mean, you can't really choreograph that, but to me, that was just all done for the crowd to sing Judas so he could come down. And I do like that when the crowd sings, that if you look at Jericho, he looks genuinely touched. There are times that he looks like he wants to, cry a little bit. So, and I don't think he's putting that on. And I do like that, but I think Jericho's, I mean, nothing against him. He's getting up there. He needs to be more of the announcer, managerial. Maybe he can corner Guevara against Spears or something like that. But just at the end of the day, I'm used to hot main events on Dynamite, and this one just, I'm saying it was terrible. A C. I'd give it a C. It was just, I don't know. It just, something was missing from it. I can't explain it.
I'm more glad we're on the same wavelength, because I was going to say, I was going to say C, because I was going to give them really hard markdowns for those promos. The matches, take it whatever you want. Like we just said there's 2 anticlimactic ones with the women's, and then the main event was kind of anticlimactic. There's some moments when you look at it story-wise, whatever. But I think them running these weird promos mark it down to C. That's not, I'm not saying C plus or even a C. It's just right in the, like, it was okay. And then for AEW, when you get a C, that means you got no good promos. You have majority of your matches are in those stupid screen to screen with advertisements.
I watch the ads. I can't help but watch the goddamn ads. I hate picture in picture.
Well, yeah, and then also so like you have like, you have possibly something going on in that match because of how lackluster the whole show is, and you got that shit going on. So a C, because it gets you into for this reviewing the Elite episodes. I'm gonna mark it as like a strike one to Tony Khan, in the sense I like just keep it in the back burner of like, can you handle 2 shows? Because I know that you are so happy with the announcement. Rampage could have been CM Punk coming out, and then they could have brought out 3 dogs to take a shit on the ring, and it'll be like, this is a great show. This is excellent. So I'm just saying, if you know you have that much pull, why didn't you give Houston a really great promo like just a better show? Because it could have. There was just some lackluster ones.
Yeah, it was like it's lazy. It's like that biggest announcement ever is coming Friday. You all know what it is. This is a throwaway. This is WWE Superstar show.
And that's why I'm being hard on, because I don't think I've seen them throw it away as bad as this one. They've had, they've made TV shows be cool because they've done like special segments, like how the Miami one with that MMA guy was called Roadblock, or Road Rager. Just sure. They've done gimmicks for the show to make it like, oh, this is gonna be an interesting show. Come on, watch. And then this one definitely felt like a phone in. Hey, I know you guys in Houston, but we're really worried about a day. Everyone get back on a plane for Chicago by Friday.
And then you come to the Friday show. Everybody and their grandma knew that was Punk. I mean, even Khan was on Busted Open Radio. He didn't say CM Punk was going to be his exact words. He was like, everybody knows what's happening tonight. We're not going to disappoint. Everybody knew that was one of the hot. I mean, that there were 15,000 people, I think they said. It seemed like there were 93,000. I mean, that crowd, hometown boy, you ain't seen him forever. And the show was smart. They opened with it. If you'd have had to wait till the end, all you would have heard is CM Punk. That crowd wouldn't have cared. He opens, you hear Cult of Personality, you see the two hands, and that was, I mean, I have not seen a reaction like that. Oh my, not on TV. I don't know how long. And
long time.
People, like you said, people are crying and Punk's hugging people. He dives into the crowd at one point and when he, I'm hot, gotta get your plug for your t-shirt, that's okay. Yep. And then the way he just went and he just sat down like he did when he cut that pipe bomb promo. Yep. He didn't need to talk. He could have just went, I'm back. Because he hit that crowd. I mean, 10 minutes easily went by before he got in the ring.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was a moment. I mean, there's always those moments that you're always going to know in wrestling. That's definitely one of them.
He also, like you said, I'm glad they started right off the get-go. Here's CM Punk, because the crowd would have been chanting it through the whole thing, especially, and then also before his screen popped up, I was looking at the crowd. I'm like, all right, I saw 12 different CM Punk signs. I was seeing AEW prints, but with like his like baby blue white stripe with the red stars, CM Punk style. Already said 8. I'm like, man, like they were hungry. They were chomping at the bit, and it was great. And I just more so that I don't think we said it yet, because we already talked about how he did the promo of like even talking about the back of the house, like listen, blah blah blah. But I think AEW should treat this as the final jab at WWE, because they've done it, and I've been trying to keep record of like when they do it. Like even like Dynamite, they had a WWE jab, but I think this one should be it by them having CM Punk coming out saying in 2005, I quit professional wrestling. And then he goes, August, today in 2021, I'm back in professional wrestling. And he did it in a way that it like avoiding saying that company and saying that is, because everyone now says, oh yeah, they know they're not professional wrestlers. But the idea of treating WWE as like he's been gone for 15 years. No, excuse me. Yeah. About 16 years in his
long time. Yeah.
Of professional, even though it's only been 7, but the idea of saying like, I've been gone since 05, I left in 05, and he looked devastated. That's the part. And also I didn't know all this until last night. Like WWE broke him mentally, and then like the staph infection stuff, and then I said like him coming out was like basically like how Dave Chappelle came out and explained why he left Comedy Central. And that was a great reference, I thought, in my head. I'm like, he didn't want to leave, but also, or he had passion for wrestling, but it was going to kill him in WWE.
I want Punk to actually say it. And here's something very unpopular. And I've said this about Moxley too, and it kind of makes me mad. Both of these guys, WWE didn't use me right. They didn't treat me right. They took the fun away from the business. Fuck you. Fuck both of you. You guys. I'll say Moxley first, because he was the first guy to come to AEW that was always like, I didn't like WWE. I didn't like what they did for me. CZW didn't make you a household name. Vince McMahon made you a household name. You were a tag champ, a United States champ, an Intercontinental champ, a heavyweight champ. You were a main event.
Grand Slam.
Yeah. Fuck you. Yeah. I'm sorry. As much as I love Moxley, fuck you. Punk, another one. WWF didn't do nothing for me. You were a champ for over a year. You were given 5-star matches. You weren't a loser doing jobs. If you're truly that mad that, God damn it, I'm not the main event at WrestleMania, you have a guaranteed contract. Your paycheck's going to be the same if you're the first match, second match, 13th match. So did he like working there? Was there a lot of politics? Sure. I'm sure there was. I'm sure he hated it. But once again, did Ring of Honor or IWA make Punk a star, or did he become a star on that WWE machine? I mean, I'm not a pro WWE guy, but when the guys come over and say, oh, I just hated it over there. At the end of the day, it still made you a star. So I get kind of frustrated when I hear that, but I'd like to see maybe, like you said, I want to hear him talk about it. Maybe if he came down and cut a promo, let me tell you why I hated WWE. He doesn't need to get any sympathy because the crowd already loves him, but and I like him. I mean, please don't think I'm insulting him, but I either want him to never talk about it, or I really do want him to explain how he's got his love for the business back. He can make a smart reference like, oh, I lost my smile over there or something. I want to see that. I want that explored more on TV as the weeks go by.
I do wish he or even all of them, because they all have, I think they have a story somewhere down the road that there has to be a reason. Because like, even like you said, Moxley, like, if it's about like you don't like being the funny guy and like be a buddy with a fern, okay, you want to be like that. Maybe your last couple runs was rough, but I do agree, especially with Dean Ambrose. I'm like, no one would known you without being in that machine.
No, I mean, he was in CZW. I like CZW. He had a fork. He was in Tournaments of Death and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I didn't think twice. I didn't even remember him at first, when he came there. And I'm sorry. I'll tell you how awesome he is. He made me care about that fucking Plant Mitch. When Jericho smashed it, I was sad. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I get it. I don't want to be a goofy guy having a weapons match with Brock Lesnar where I got no weapons. And I mean, but still, you came to AEW as a star because you worked over there and you were a star.
I'm just more because I am curious. Then I really hope even like maybe they should do like a podcast episode of like have Dean or Moxley come on, CM Punk, and then I would like to have Paul and Mark come on, because there has to be a reason why they jumped ship quick after, once they had the opportunity to, of like, and those guys are ones that have definitely went through a lot of hoops, just like these guys maybe had minimalistic hoops. Like, we've had Mark Henry's sexual chocolate, fucking Mae Young,
I
fucking,
love
what I mean?
sexual chalk. That was the only time I was a Mark Henry Mark. He was
Yeah.
fucking Mae Young and Jerry Lawler. He gives her that. I'll never forget. He gives her that breast pump when she says she's pregnant, and Lawler sold it all. He's like, "Oh my God, she's gonna get powdered milk out of those things and all that." I mean, I liked Mark Henry when he was doing that. I mean, he was on TV. It was funny.
I'm just more trying to figure out. I'd just like to know what is the inkling that makes you guys go like, I need to get out of here, or like you're just, it probably is the becoming jaded on a passion that got you in, and then you have to now become a corporate idea of it, like just jokes, or you're not doing real matches or like this. So I'm just trying to figure out too. I like to hear their actual, this is why, this is why, this is why, and this is why.
Well, and WWE keeps saying, "Well, Punk ain't on our radar. Fuck that guy. He was a pain in the ass. We don't want him back. He was a cancer." And bullshit,
Sure.
bullshit. CM Punk. I mean, this is a guy who is so over. He went to Ultimate Fight, got his ass beat severely. You can make an angle out of that. Have Hager come out there. I'll beat you like Mickey Gall beat you in the UFC. And he still stayed relevant all this time. Well, WWE, they wanted him back. To me, I'm not saying this is a nail in the coffin to WWE. I won't go that far, but this is definitely a big kick in the ass for him. I mean, because he's the hottest thing in wrestling, and he ain't wrestled. And Tony Khan got him. I'm sure he spent a lot of money to get him, but I think that payoff. I mean, like I mentioned to you, the shirts they were selling yesterday, they're $500 to $800 on eBay. They're going to make that money back in merch. I mean, he's a smart one to have. He elevated that company even further, and I'm glad he's there. I want to see, and then he did the whole thing, Darby and Stinger in the rafters, and because Darby basically called him out a few months ago, sorry, best in the world and all that. And then he was, "I want to fight you, Darby, out." And I like how he said, "I'm here for the young guys. And he said, if you notice, I want to work with Kenny Omega because that's the money. That's what we all want to see." And I do kind of like, it wasn't like, here's CM Punk, his first match, heavyweight title match, because then it shows you that your little win-loss record don't mean shit. So, and I hope Darby doesn't job. I've said that, but that's going to be a good match. And if Punk has any rust in him, which he probably does, it's a given.
Oh yeah,
it's going to get shaken off with a guy like Darby flying at you from every way. So I'm even going to go on record and say, making the prediction early, that's going to steal the show. I really think it is. I think it's going to be a great match. He's with a great guy. Shake hands at the end, however it turns out, or something. But I mean, that was. Yeah, and then he gave you ice cream. That was great because he doesn't drink. I mean, no, I'm glad he's there. I hate the sour grapes WWE talk, but I hate it with any company when people have sour grapes. But no, I liked it. That was definitely it's going to be a moment you'll always remember.
They have, even the ice cream sandwiches is also another little jab, because of, to my knowledge, I remember CM Punk wanted ice cream sandwiches as a WWE superstar, and just never happened.
Yeah, because they used to, back when I was a kid, a law 40-something years ago, they had WWE ice cream bars. Tasted like shit. Anybody that wasn't alive that has these memories of them, or even if you have a fond memory of them, they're fucking gross. And you can get them at the shows. I got them a couple times. But yeah, I mean, everything's a little. I like too how they do it in AEW, where it's like under just twisting at you without them actually saying something. It's very clever.
No, and I'm looking this. I have watched. I think I might have missed one pay-per-view of AEW since they've came. I've been able to work it out with people, and I've get the streams. I think I've missed only one. But every single one, I know you said you get tired, like it's 4 hours, but
you get your money's worth. I don't want to make it sound like that, but I get tired sometimes.
It goes into there's no other company that can do a 4-hour pay-per-view and have people pay full price like we do and be satisfied.
Yeah.
And then, but I am looking forward to this All Out now because of just CM Punk, and then all the titles, and also they've done really good jobs making this run of the titles to this pay-per-view. Really interesting thing. And I do like, sometimes I think like, should AEW get another pay-per-view? I think they do 4. I think they do. Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I like
that's good
because
makes the TV worth it too.
Yes. And you can, the important thing that a lot of people forget, you need a storyline. You've got 3 to 4 months to build that storyline. It makes every match seem better. Like when I was a kid, it was WrestleMania, the Royal Rumble, the Survivor Series, or SummerSlam. Yeah, there were like 4 or 5 shows. That once a month stuff, everything's rushed. But Punk was so good, and the crowd stayed hot through the rest of the show. The next match could have been 2 no-name guys, rolling around. That crowd would have been into it. But I mean, they had it, they hooked it. I mean, because after Punk left, the whole crowd's pop. Everybody's waiting to get their ice cream and their shirt. Here comes the Jurassic Express over as fuck. They're against the Private Party. Matt Hardy's out there. I wish he was still broken. I don't like big money, but they tore the house down, and then the Bucks come out and they've got their chairs and Cutler spraying the coal spray on their chairs, and they're just watching like this. And that was a great match. And I love on these tag matches how they like, 1, 2, and the hands like right here with the kick out, the save, jumping in. Great match. And that crowd, like I said, that crowd was still hot from Punk. They were hot from Punk for the whole night. That crowd was so into it. Could have been the worst match in the world. It would have been 5 stars just because of that crowd reaction. But it was a great match. And the team you knew that was going to win did win at the end. The Jurassic Express.
I do also like AEW knows how to start a show. They do a really, like, their first match, they want you in those seats right off the get-go, because you might miss a moment, because they've done almost, besides this last Dynamite, they've done like a very high quality grade match always as their first match. Then they get a little soft in the middle, and they go hard again in the middle at the end. Tony does do a good setup, because like we said before, that Jurassic Express could have been the main event, but they do that. They get you a big pop, or at least the first match is always one of the best. Like, you'll think about that match through the whole night. Then we had 2 job matches, in and out, boom. I'm already looking forward to next week's Dynamite.
I'll give that match an A. The Jurassic Express. But that was a good match. And then the next match was what it needed to be. Cargill versus whoever she was, I forgot. And
Kira Hogan.
Bam. 1, 2, 3. Because you already had a good 15, 20 minutes with Punk. You had a good 10, 15 minutes. You're down to like 20 minutes of the show. Bam. And then you got to get Mark Henry out there to kill everything. John, I see you. Are you going to look forward to the match? And Mox, I think Mox had his back turned, because he was probably like, God, you suck, Henry. Why are you doing this? And then, I can't do this anymore. I have to be talking to my goddamn ear and all that. And he throws it off, and he goes to another throwaway match, which my bitch with the match was, and forgive me, what's the kid's name that he fought? Because he's still fairly new.
Something Garcia.
Yeah. So good wrestler. Good. That match needed to be, he shouldn't have gave Moxley one thing. Moxley should have came in, beat him bloody, and that was it. But, they did it. You had to get Sting and Darby had to come out that rafters, and they got to do the run-in at the end, and Kingston's coming back, and, it was a good ending. I almost thought for a second Punk was going to maybe come out at the end, but he didn't. He didn't need to. But the match was 7 or 8 minutes. It was what it needed to be. It was like I said, they could have done the Punk interview and showed a goddamn black screen for the rest of the show, and it wouldn't have mattered. The whole show was CM Punk. He opened it, he kept it hot. Everything else at the end of the day was a throwaway.
Yeah. Jay Cargill's match, I think obviously C, because that's my spiel about, I just want a little bit more time with her, but it did a great squash for the idea of you only have a window of opportunity to wrestle. And then the Moxley one, B-, because might be. I like the because for him being so young, that Garcia, they made him put in the work with like Moxley doing the elbow to elbow or forearm to forearm hits. They had they had him work the leg for Moxley, but then Moxley was able to do that weird suplex that tosses him, just throws him up in the air.
Boom, like that. That's a cool move.
That's a real bump, like just like, all right, welcome here, kid. And then obviously ended it with a really rough looking counter to that headlock, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, whoa. And then blah blah blah. Then they had to come out and then give the Chicago crowd a stinger splash and coffin drop, and then tell us go get ice cream and we're out of there. It was good.
And like my buddy said, unfortunately, a lot of people missed all the matches because they went to right away to get the go get their ice cream and their CM Punk shirt. So yeah, like I said, he was there a long time afterwards. But no, I like the show. The show, like we said, the show was built around the Punk coming back. They could have just done the whole show with that. The crowd was hot from the first because of that. Nothing was going to bring it down. So yeah, I mean, overall show, I got to give an A++ just because of the Punk return. Even though you knew it was coming, it was special. Hot crowd. It was good. I like the show. This show served its purpose. They even let you know Punk's going to be on Dynamite, for another promo. So they know what they're doing. It was good, and it's going to make you think. They have Daniel Bryan pop up on Rampage. Then it's going to be like, this might only be an hour at 9:00, but this is the show to watch. We don't know what's going to happen. So they're doing it smart. I had fun. Like you said, Dynamite, this was one of the worst show ever probably for promos, but it was still a good show. Rampage, good show. It was hot. It was overall, I thought it was a very good week of AEW.
I agree. And then even because we don't mention it on here, just I'll try to do it every week. Even for the dark matches, this whole week of AEW has been really good, and I too will give the Dynamite. I'd give it A- because I'm still trying to wrap my head around about what they are doing in 1 hour, so I'm going to give it an A-. But yes,
yeah, I'll go with you. I'll give it an A- just because of the promo work was it was bad, but. Other than that, no, it was good. Rampage, if I had to give it an A+, I mean, it was built around the return of Punk, and they pulled it off. So no, that was everything it needed to be. The matches were second nature, but the tag match was really good.
Yes.
I guess we've talked a lot here. Before we go, where can people listen to all your other stuff at?
Well, I do a weekly podcast for video game news and kind of like nerd culture news, but 80% it's video game. It's the Cousin Ciseal Show that's out every Monday on podcast services wherever you go. And then sometimes on that same feed, I might have a bonus episode come out on Wednesdays with a comic book creator that just talk about his new, about comics, of like an creator interview, and then basically a little bit everywhere. You can follow me at Mike Fowler 93 at Twitter, and then that's about it for me.
It's always here, the Barbed Wire Bite podcast with Pitbull #1. You can listen to it on everywhere. You can watch the video streams now here, hardcoregraveyard.com website. We'll be back here every Saturday with the AEW recap. I'm going to have all the links here for Cousin Ciseal, so go and support that. And I want to thank you for joining me, and I hope everybody liked the first episode. I promise we won't always go for 2 hours, but we had a lot to talk about this week. But I hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to put his stuff on blast too, because hopefully maybe this thing goes smooth and maybe you'll catch us. Maybe we'll do like a super chat version of this on YouTube and stuff and get this rolling too on like I don't know, because we have these special events, we have pay-per-views we could do it after. We also have after TBS picks up AEW, you're gonna have those TNT quarterly matches. Who knows?
And your assignment, I'll give you an assignment. Watch a GCW fight this week. I'll send you
Okay.
the name of like 20 different shows. Order one, watch it. I really want to know what crowd you think is better, GCW or AEW.
Okay.
Well, with that, guys, we'll see you next Saturday.
Peace.